Welcome back everybody to another champion concept video. Today I'm going to be going over a rework I made for Annie. If you guys have not checked out any other videos on my channel, I make original content, original champion concepts, as well as doing reworks. I've done reworks for Morgana, Kale, Pantheon, and Nasus so far. And with this one, this will be the 5th one that I've done. So if you guys like this sort of content, please like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, let me guys know what you think of this rework, and we can discuss it down in the comments below. Now let's get right into the video. So with Annie, I wanted to create, basically I wanted to keep Annie's identity intact, but completely changing her kit. Annie's identity is being this short-ranged burst / CC mage who no one wants to get near, but she's very kiteable. And I think with her kit right now, it's very boring, it's very linear. It's one of the older kits still left in League of Legends that hasn't really been touched by Riot too much. Outside of Tibbers a little bit, nothing else, everything else has been pretty much intact. So changing Annie was a little bit difficult because, you know, you wanted to keep that same idea of, you know, high burst, short range with a little bit of CC, but not making her, you know, like a Nico or something like that. So I think I did a pretty good job. You guys can let me know here. We'll get right into her first ability, which is her passive. Pyromania, kept the same name, thought it was a cool name. Removed her entire old passive. If you guys don't know, her old passive, every time she used 4 abilities, the next ability would be a stun. Doesn't matter which ability that she used, it would all stack these up. So Annie was able to get a stun every, you know, 10 seconds, you know, early level. This would allow her to, you know, get some easy poke on targets. I feel like this is just a really bad passive to have. No passive should be a stun. It's just not a good concept. It's not a very healthy mechanic in the game. So we removed that. We gave her a new passive. Upon taking a large amount of damage, about 15% of Annie's max health, Annie will gain a temporary magic shield decaying over 6 seconds. Shield is determined by percentage of bonus HP and scales with level. Also, Annie is granted a 20% movement speed boost for those 6 seconds. When it comes to the cooldown on this, I would say probably after this ability completely decays, it will need to reset for maybe between, let's say, like 6 and 8 seconds. I think that's pretty good. The whole idea of this is to, as you will see, this kind of goes with the rest of her kit, being, you know, the main item that people build on Annie, or should build on Annie right now, is Rod of Ages. Gives health, gives mana, gives AP, makes her very tanky, but also gives her a lot of damage, that raw damage that Annie does need for her burst. This keeps that idea of her being very tanky while still being able to do a lot of damage. Took away the ability to spam her stun, and also giving her a shield just gives her a little more survivability in lane, especially if she's going to be stacking, you know, HP, having bonus HP. It's always a great thing to have. That's going to give you a shield. Going into her actual first ability was known as Disintegrate. It is now called Orphan's Wrath. So her old Q was a point-and-click fireball, as you can see here in the video. Dealt damage. If you were able to kill a target, it would refund the mana. Any players would use this to farm, to last hit under turret, as well as just to stack up a passive really quickly. Maybe throw it on the target, back away, continue, you know, do the entire pattern all over again. What we did, we gave Annie a 3-part skill shot mechanic. And when we say 3-part, think of, you know, I know a lot of people are going to run to, you know, Riven, Aatrox, that type of idea. Yes, that's what I wanted to go with. I know somebody's not going to like that, but just look at the rest of the kit before you guys make your decision here. So the first part of this is going to be her old Q. It's going to be a skill shot, though, instead of a point and click. Just throws a fireball out, deals damage. The second part is her old W, which was Incinerate, which was a cone AoE fire damage ability. So now she has her old Q. She also has her old W. The third ability is a charged fireball. The longer it charges, it will slightly increase the range, but the longer it charges, it will greatly increase the blast zone of the final, you know, target area. So range of this ability, cast range would be from 4 to 550 at full charge. Radius of this ability will go from 100 to 400. This is a circumference of where this ability is going to land. All these abilities deal magic damage. I didn't think that really needed to, to be said. I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew. So with this ability, taking away her point and click, this already, when you take away a point and click ability, it makes that champion instantly have a skill gap, an increase in her skill gap. Having an ability that has 3 skill shots that are all part of the same ability increases that skill gap even more. I think this also gives her a lot more ability to poke, deal damage in lane, have a more trade potential, which just will lead to higher damage output from Annie. And this is her main source of damage, is using this combo here. And I think when you see the rest of the kit, it will make more sense. But being able to throw out one fireball to deal damage, maybe to wave clear, using the W, using her old W to deal damage, wave clear, even using her charge ability to wave clear or damage, just gives her a lot of versatility in lane just from one ability. And I think once you see the other abilities, this one will kind of seem like, okay, this is her main form of damage. Her second ability used to be known as Incinerate, as we talked about already. The new ability is called Trial by Fires. So first things first, completely remove the old ability. That cone ability is now part of her Q, like we said. The new ability, Annie conjures a burning circle around her current location, catching flames for 6 seconds. This circle can be passed through. Targets are dealt magic damage over time. So she throws down a circle around her that is cast in fire. This is good for multiple reasons. One, it gives her some extra utility in lane. Being able to throw this down, let's say someone tries to dive her, this is going to help with, dealing a little more damage to somebody. Obviously, this is a lot less damage than what her old W would be able to put out, but it gives her a lot more utility, gives her some defensive purposes. Think about it this way, most Annie players maybe wouldn't build Rylaz Crystal Scepter on her, and now you would, just for the sheer fact that this ability works very, very well with that. You can throw that down, they walk through the fire, boom, they're slowed. Now your other abilities are going to be able to hit a little bit better. So kind of think of it that way. The next ability, which was Molten Shield, probably her most useless ability that she has. Probably actually one of the more useless abilities in the entire game. And we're now calling it Uncontrollable Agony. So first things first, we remove almost that entire ability. What it did was she would activate it, give her magic resist, and also give her this weird Bomby Cinder Thorn Mail effect, where it dealt magic damage on hit when targets would attack her. We removed most of that. We reworked the magic resistance into her new passive, as we've seen, and the passive on hit magic damage is gone. This is now a charge ability. Think of it similar to Reworks I. During charge, Annie has damage reduction, about 50%, 60% damage reduction. Reactivate to unleash Annie's rage, dealing X percentage HP damage, or X percentage HP as magic damage. This will inflict one of 2 forms of crowd control. So you see here, this red circle here is Annie. There's a white circle and a blue circle. The white circle, targets who are caught in that white circle will be stunned for 2 seconds. Enemies caught in the blue circle will be knocked back about 250 range. So this is very unique. This gives her some more utility, some more defensive prowess, and gives her a different form of using her stun. So one big thing with Annie players, from what I know, is being able to flash Q, flash W, flash Alt, and be able to stun either one or multiple targets to make a play. That's kind of how Annie, finds her playmaking ability. This still allows her to do that, just in a different way. Also, if you see Annie, charging up, it would make some sort of animation. So when you see Annie charging up this ability, you kind of know she's probably going to try to flash on top of you. Kind of when Galio uses his W and then flashes on top of a target. Very similar to that idea. Having more defensive uses, having just more utility in general, having that damage reduction, which kind of stays true to her being this high HP, high AP mage who's very short ranged. So you don't really want to get up close to her. You kind of want to wait for her to use her cooldowns, this being one of those very, very big cooldowns. And the final ability is her ultimate, which was Tibbers. I just changed the name from Summon Tibbers to Tibbers with an exclamation point. I just think it kind of fits a little bit better. So I kept Tibbers being her ultimate, but I changed a lot of how Tibbers acts. So the first thing, the cast animation, which you can see here in this video, you basically point and click. Tibbers is summoned at a location, and then that's it. I think it's really boring. And it doesn't really fit to Annie's lore too much for just being able to just plop down this giant bear. And she still has her bear in her hand too, which doesn't, it's just really stupid. So in this new animation, Annie would throw her bear in a target direction, then that bear would animate into Tibbers. So that's one. Two, Tibbers, his entrance would be very similar to Shyvana's ult, how she, the Dragon's Descent, where she basically flies in the air, deals damage, knocks back targets. That's how Tibbers would enter the battle too. So she would throw her bear in a target direction. That bear would then animate into a large Tibbers, and then Tibbers would knock back and deal magic damage to those targets. Now, another update to this. His attacking animation would be the same. You can reactivate this to prioritize target champions. So you click a target, he will basically run towards that target. Tibbers gains movement speed from his auto attacks, which is something that he would gain movement speed whenever Annie would die, and he would chase down a target. Got rid of that. That was a very strange, effect to have on an ability. What this does, it just makes Annie's ultimate a little more clean, gives it a little more, a little more meat on the bones. You're summoning this giant demonic bear animation. You want it to seem menacing and almost, like a Marvel movie, like a cinematic event. So being able to throw the bear and then it conjures into this giant bear, I think is super, super cool. Giving it a knockback, I think that's great. Just gives her a little more utility. Does damage as well. The AI, I think, would have to work a little bit similar to how Yorwick's new R works now, which you guys don't know is he can actually reactivate it, so the AI would change its prioritization. It would, instead of following him, it would go down the nearest lane. Not the same as Tibbers, but just being able to reactivate it so that way Tibbers can do what you want him to do instead of just moving him around with your with clicking R. Just makes the ability a little more clean. But that is everything that I did with Annie. Like I said, the whole purpose of this build was to keep her identity of being this very short-ranged bursty champion, but just making her a lot more defensive. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like I said, like and subscribe to the channel.